Looks like we got a little bit ahead of ourselves here. So how do you wrap up your cover letter? You want to end with a call to action. End your letter with a reason for them to contact you. Don't add remarks like, I'll call to schedule an interview. That's going to backfire on you. They don't want you calling them. You invite them, you invite yourself rather to look forward to their call. So it doesn't look like you're a go-getter when you do this. It just crosses the line. Let the call to action be polite and open-ended, suggesting that you are excited to offer more information. I'm so excited to tell you more about my experience and that you're looking forward to talking with them. I'm so looking forward to our next conversation. And just make it polite and open and easy. And again, it's revealing your personality and your experience. And something that is very important, get somebody to proofread your cover letter for mistakes and have friends and family read through the cover letter. If your mother always helped you with your homework, then ask mom to read your cover letter if necessary, somebody that you trust, because you do not want to have a really great cover letter with any kind of spelling or grammar mistakes. Now, spell check isn't going to help everything, because if you think about it, there are a lot of words that are correctly spelled but are wrong. So people confused the word there. T-H-E-R-E, T-H-E-I-R, and T-H-E-Y'-R-E all sound the same and are all spelled correctly. And spell check isn't going to pick that up. But if somebody's reading it, they're going to say, I think you meant T-H-E-R-E, not T-H-E-I-R. And that will help you. The same thing for the word Sue. They and use. They both have U, S, and E in them, but they mean completely different things. And so spell check's not going to pick that up. So you want to make sure you go back through your document and get somebody to proofread it. Don't rely just on spell check. So you can't make your resume really fancy. The resume is pretty straightforward and plain. It's not fancy, not creative. But if you want to keep your cover letter unique, keep these things in mind. Make people understand through your stories and through your quantification. Tell them who you are as an individual. Include your experience in the form of stories and your skills in the form of stories that directly relate to the posting. So you want to go back to that posting and make sure you use it as a guide for everything that you write in your cover letter. So these are very important for a successful cover letter. It needs to be highly related to the job you're applying to, and the way that you prove your qualification should show who you are as an individual. So make your story compelling. And people love stories, and that's so in today. It's everybody's telling stories. There's all kinds of storytelling workshops and story in coaching and story in consulting, and just about every discipline is based on stories. People love stories. And recruiters and hiring managers are no exception. So make your story compelling. Look back over your career and make your cover letter unique for whoever is getting a look at it. Just be sure that those stories that you pick demonstrate your proficiency with the skills, tools, and concept that are needed on that job, specifically for that job you're applying for. So again, go back to the requirements, match them up with your skills, the tools that you've used, and the ideas that you have for the job. So, and also you want to tell them why you want to work there. Why is this company special to you? Maybe you like their culture, or you've always admired their business philosophy. One way to find that out is you go to their webpage and you look at their mission, vision, values, and goals, and talk about those things in your cover letter. Talk about how you're aligned with the mission, visions, values, and goals. In particular, the values are really important. People like to align their personal values with their work values. And I've known people who have quit their jobs because their values did not align with the company values where they worked for. Even though they were really good workers and very well paid, they just did not want to live with the values that the company espoused, and so they left. So the other thing that's going to take you some research is looking for the recruiter or hiring manager's name. So a lot of people use dear sir or madam or to whom it may concern, and people get away with that, but it's not going to work in today's world with so much competition. So most of those people aren't going to get hired. They're not the ones going to work on Monday. So if you want to make a strong impression, do your homework and take the time to find out who you're addressing. And again, everything is searchable. You can find this information. You might have to make a few phone calls or try several different searches. You might even have to pay for a search to find out the person's name. But find that name, ferret it out, and you know that the harder it is to find these people, the less likely other applicants are going to do it. And the more impressed the hiring manager or the recruiter is going to be with you because you took the time to find out who they are. And that is very important. And there are many, many multiple ways to do that. So here on the cover letter, I mentioned several times that you can get creative on the cover letter. On the cover letter, you can use some kind of visual format that's unique. You can use maybe a fancy header, maybe use some color, make sure it's attractive, but make sure it's appropriate for the company that you're applying to and their industry. If you have something that's very artistic looking, it might not pass muster in a, let's say, technology company or a law firm or something like that. So make sure that you maybe search on some examples of cover letters that go to certain industries and look for the format. Don't copy the cover letter because most of the time that doesn't work. Don't copy the words, just the format. So things you need to forget about when you're writing a cover letter. So people read thousands of these things. So make sure you don't make these common mistakes. They get really sick and tired of looking at generic and overused expressions such as thank you for taking the time. I mean, it's got to be on every cover letter, right? I believe my set of skills make me a great fit for the job. And that is sort of boasting, and you haven't really said why. None of these things specifically are going to hurt you, but they don't help. So if I were you, I would make these phrases. I wouldn't even use them. Don't even think about them. Cross them off your list. Make them invisible. So I like to use the example of Animal House, if everybody remembers that movie. Don't make your cover letter groan worthy. So if you remember, there was a fraternity on the campus that was led by John Belushi. And when they were looking at the pictures of the possible new members, the freshmen coming in, if they didn't like the picture of the person, they would all groan, and then they would throw tomatoes or objects or whatever they had in their hand at the picture. And it was very funny. If you ever get a chance to look at that, you should definitely spend some time watching it. It's a great movie and it's funny. And it's also got a lot of lessons in it. So what makes recruiters and hiring managers groan? These common phrases are just annoying. It's like scratching your fingernails on a blackboard for these people. To whom it may concern, I'm not sure if you know, dynamic, please feel free, significant, self-starter, detail-oriented, forward thinker, really, truly, deeply. And what's wrong with these is that none of them are specific, and we don't know if any of these relate back to the job itself. So you have to get away from these. Take a screenshot of it if you have to. Stop the tape, take a screenshot. Remember to not use these words in your cover letter. So summing up our entire lesson for today, for the last session of our 3-part series, your resume has to be very carefully crafted with the job description clearly reflected in your keywords in order to beat the ATS. And that's really critical. Don't use any fancy formatting. The plainer, the better. You don't want that resume kicked out of the system if the system can't decipher it. The cover letter is almost more important because that's where you get to tell your story and tell why you are the best candidate for the job. And when you're thinking about what to write in the cover letter, make sure the stories that you tell are relatable to the job description. So don't tell something that's not relevant to getting hired. If it calls for leadership skills and you were a leader in a volunteer organization, in a church group, a social group, or in a professional organization, that's relatable. So talk about a story about how you became the head of your professional organization in your region. Talk about other leadership roles. Tell stories, but they have to be related to the job. Don't lie, be honest, and proofread your cover letter. Get somebody else to help you with it. And you can use design elements. You can get a little fancy in the cover letter because the cover letters are not going through the ATS. And we have some questions on the rest of the tape in part 2 of this recording, and I urge you to go over to that section. But for right now, if you have questions after viewing this, then you can email me at mary@encoreexecutivecoaching.com or go to my website, www.encoreexecutivecoaching.com. And it was my pleasure talking with you today. And we will see you again on the next lesson. Bye now.